right. So these works, which I refer to as fictional information books, utilize common characteristics of information books like an alphabetical organization, absence of a linear plot, headings and captions, and an authoritative tone. Their objective is to educate rather than to narrate a plot, or at least at the first glance. Additionally, their content involving creatures such as dwarfs, giants, unicorns, dragons, and fairies is fictitious. And a crucial aspect of these books is that they refrain from disclosing the fictional nature of their content, and instead they assert its authenticity. So this genre has predominantly developed since the 2000s, and most fictional information books seem to be aimed at children. Here are a few examples which you may have seen before. For example, Douglas Steere's Ology series, including titles like Wizardology, Vampirology, Ghostology, Alienology, Dragonology. This series seemed to be sort of at the heart of this trend. Another well-known series is Ari Burke's The Secret Histories series about mermaids, hobgoblins, and giants. More recent examples are the ones by Emily Hawkins and Jessica Rue, The Natural History of Fairies and of Mermaids as well. And these often large format information books, they are adorned with colorful relief or cloth covers containing detailed anatomical studies of dwarves, pasted postcards and dragon scales. And these books are not only visually appealing, they also encourage readers to interact with them. So when I initially examined fictional information books, I found myself intrigued with the author's deft handling of fact and fiction. These books discuss unicorns as if they were genuine, without ever appearing to deceive or mislead their readers. Instead, the author playfully engaged in a game of make-believe, pushing the boundaries and conventions of information book writing. These works employ intricate techniques to establish authenticity while also deconstructing it at the same time, blurring the line between fact and fiction. And these techniques are at the core of my PhD thesis, where I explore the construction and simultaneous deconstruction of authenticity in fictional information books at the level of content, paratext, authorship, visual and material aesthetics. So I'd like to give you two examples of such techniques to give you a feeling for this genre. One approach commonly employed is the technique referred to by Gérard Genette as imagining the author. Here, the real author attributes his book to an imaginary author character. This character can, for instance, be a renowned dragon researcher, such as Dr. Ernest Drake, the purported author of Dragonology, or an adventurer such as Newt Scamander, the supposed author of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And these fictional characters are depicted as experts and therefore authoritative. But a simple Google search, of course, reveals then again that they are fictitious characters. So apart from imagined authors, other paratextual elements often contribute to claims of authenticity. The books frequently contain secret knowledge that has been discovered accidentally. Elaborate origin stories about the books are often included in the foreword, claiming them to be originals or facsimiles of old notebooks that were discovered containing long-forgotten knowledge. And these narratives likely aim to add a mystical air of ancient preserved knowledge. Publishers' notes then sometimes distance themselves again from these claims. At the same time, these narratives are reflected in the book's design, expanding the technique of feigning and deconstructing authenticity to the level of material aesthetics. And this is what I would like to explore now more closely in the following, the role of material aesthetics in fictional information books. So I'm aware that in the course of the material term, scholars have approached materiality in various ways. And in this presentation, I will be talking about what is commonly referred to as literal materiality. So I will be referring to the physical properties of the book that can be sensually experienced by its readers. And fictional information books provide a lot of tangible experiences due to their amazing designs. Okay. I've brought Dragonology by Jakob Steere as an example for you today. And as you can see already the book cover is striking with its red leather-like appearance and raised dragon designs in spot gloss. The seemingly metal centerpiece showcases a dynamic painting of a fire-spitting dragon above the silver title. Surrounding this picture, there are moving inscriptions, a subtitle, and green encrusted gemstones. The corner pieces, also in a metal aesthetic, are adorned with dragon heads and wings. As the item is not bound in leather and metal, but rather in cardboard, paper, and plastic, it is unexpectedly lightweight despite its large format. The thick pages are glued together with space between them, and they mimic the effects of aging and wear. Some pages display foxing, marginalia, and ink stains. Additionally, they are flaps to open, letters to remove, and samples of dragon skin to touch. When searching for a suitable theoretical framework to analyze the material qualities of books like Dragonology, I found a lot of texts, but not many sort of helpful tools, as in like a toolbox, how to analyze those things. One of the problems, of course, is that book theory predominantly focuses on the verbal text or the layout of the page and perhaps the double page. Yet, as Carlos Börlhauser points out, has been largely ignorant of the book as a three-dimensional object. Even in the realm of Picturebook theory, where the object of investigation often displays striking material characteristics, and I'm thinking of books with holes in them and cardboard pages and made from cloth and so on. The theory has primarily focused on the relationship between verbal, text, and image, although today I got the impression that's changed quite a bit. I was pleased to discover that Michael Steiger in the introduction to the book Das Bilderbuch, theoretische Grundlagen und analytische Zugänge, introduces as a relevant aspect of analyzing picture books materiality. He introduces paratextual and material aspects as one of 6 dimensions of the picture book. As you can see on the slide, this is basically the translation from German. And the text briefly discusses format variations, page thickness, and the existence of various types of picture books, including digital and pop-up formats. However, it does not offer much of a guideline as to how to approach the topic of materiality. For that, I actually found Simon Messerli's article, which has been quoted today already, or at least part of his work. His article about material aesthetic picture book analysis more helpful. So Messerli introduces 3 points of departure for a material aesthetic analysis: materiality, sensuousness, and presence. He does not view these 3 aspects as independent, but rather as he puts it, building on and complementing each other. Messerli's first point simply refers to the literal physical material of the book. This includes specific details such as the cardboard cover with plastic gemstones found on Dragonology. The material from which a book is made, in turn, determines the sensory experience, which Messerli summarizes under the term sensuousness. Such experiences might include how heavy the book feels, how rough or smooth the surface is, how the book smells, and, as Messerli puts it, what potential for participation lies in the tangible work. Dragonology, for instance, has several flaps that can be opened, encouraging the readers to interact with the book in a playful way. Messerli's third point of reference is presence, and he states that, quote, if sensuousness forms a kind of reflection stage of materiality, presence represents a questioning, extension, and completion of sensuousness, end quote. Messerli thus takes on a meta-perspective by examining traces of artistic production as well as traces of use, such as creases and tears in the paper. This makes sense if we understand presence in its original sense as existence in a limited space and time. Traces of reading and use attest to the fact that the book, as a physical object, is present and thus in constant exchange with its surroundings. Faded covers tell of the sunbeams of days gone by, wrinkled pages of a still water bottle, heavily stained pages of repeated readings of a favorite passage. And these things in turn may be connected to nostalgic memories, as we heard this morning. But what if these traces are fake? What if the visual and haptic experiences are contradictory, as in Dragonology and other fictional information books? What if the material aspects support, extend, or comment on the content of the book? Both Messerly's 3 points of reference and Steiger's 6 dimensions of Picturebook analysis seem to regard material mainly as mere packaging of a verbal and visual text, while Steiger associates material aspects with paratextual elements. We can discuss that afterwards, not just that, but that's what the graph looks like. And Messerly's point of reference, verbal and visual text, so that's sort of like the packaging of verbal and visual text. And then Messerly's points of reference allow for a broad range of considerations, but his own elaborations then again refer to material elements that are implicitly, at least, introduced as paratextual in nature. But I'd argue that the physical nature of a book, which is always a form of paratext, may also be a component of the main text in some cases. I'm thinking of atypical examples like S or The Ship of Theseus, maybe you know that, by Jeffrey Abrams and Dark Doors, but mostly thinking about a wide range of children's books, such as Peek Through Picture Books by Britta Teketrap, or books with cutouts, books like The Very Hungry Caterpillar, pop-up books by Robert Sabuda, numerous other examples like cloth books for babies with interactive elements such as squeakers, laces to tie, paw to touch, and so on. And in such instances, and in the case of some fictional information books like Dragonology, it is insufficient to consider the material only as packaging. Therefore, I'd recommend considering the material's connection with the main text or content when analyzing the physical characteristics of books. So to sort of making an attempt at contributing to this expanding toolbox for material aesthetic analysis of books, I'd like to introduce 3 aspects of this relationship, namely presentation, interaction, and composition. So it's no surprise that Steiger and Messerly regard material as a paratextual element in the first place. A book functions as a medium that inevitably conveys content, and therefore the first aspect of the relationship between material and main text to be considered is how the material aesthetics actually present the content. For instance, a plain colored softcover with an author's title may indicate a non-fiction text. Heavy books are often considered valuable due to their higher production costs, which in turn increases their price and poses a risk for publishers. They have been attributed a metaphorical weight, making them seem important or worth reading. Beautiful collector's editions featuring velvet covers or impressive bookcases can attribute a particular value to a text as well. And then owning such a book in turn becomes a status symbol. The cover design of Dragonology suggests that the book's content is aimed at a young audience. The aged aesthetic of the book resembles that of a grimoire, which adds an air of enigma and antiquity to its content. In addition, the material aesthetics of the book can encourage or hinder interactions with the main text, ultimately influencing the central experiences also discussed by Messerly. So interacting with the book through touch, hold, and opening is necessary to access its content. Dragonology, even though surprisingly light, does not invite people to carry it around in their bags due to its large format. Or unless, of course, you go to a Picturebook conference. I have it with me if anyone would like to have a look at it afterwards. At the same time, there's this format which might enable more than one person to look at the book simultaneously. The gaps between the thick blue pages provide opportunities for children to hide notes or ephemera within. The flaps, which can be opened, allow readers to literally uncover what a dragon embryo looks like. There's a map to unfold, removable letters to read, texts in dragon script to translate. All those interactive features contribute to the appeal of Dragonology and invite readers to engage with the book in various ways. According to David Lewis, works like Dragonology are both books that can be played with and toys that can be read. This playful interactive nature of fictional information books, such as Dragonology, invites young readers to engage with the content as part of their pretend play. In addition to playful engagement, interactive elements may also lead to, as Kathrin puts it, a, quote, slowed reception and deepened central engagement, end quote. The more interestingly a book is designed, the more sensory impressions there are to absorb and process. The material aesthetic text is more substantial and thus takes more time to read. The act of reading requires an oscillation or a hermeneutic circle, since a linear reading process is impossible. To comprehend the text, readers must seek out their own individual paths, which of course is particularly helpful in a genre where the play with fact and fiction is the central focus, as it encourages readers to invest more time into the text. The third aspect of the relationship between material and main text is the one which I find most intriguing, and what I refer to as composition, with a lack of terminology at the moment. This perspective explores how material features contribute to the composition of a primary text, moving beyond their function as paratext. As previously mentioned, fictional information books often make a light-hearted attempt at claiming authenticity. Dragonology, for instance, claims that dragons are real and provides samples of dragon skin as evidence, as you can see here. Providing tangible artifacts supposedly makes these mythical creatures more believable and easier to perceive. After all, we believe things more quickly that we can perceive through our senses. However, the dragon skin, as you can see there, appears so obviously artificial and fabricated from plastic, and this becomes apparent upon touching it. Thus, the claim to authenticity is again deconstructed. These samples are an integral part of the main text and not just paratextual information. I would even go so far as to read supposed traces of usage and aging as part of the main text in certain fictional information books. This is because the book's creation story is often mentioned and enhanced by the design. In Dragonology, which was supposedly written at the end of the 19th century, aged pages boxing on the map, ink marks and marginalia on the end papers are intended to imitate traces of usage and aging. The apparently valuable leather binding and metal fixing also serve to suggest the book's age. The aged and yellow pages, however, appear pristine, emitting a new book aroma. The merely imprinted metal fittings or thread bindings cannot be felt. In fairness, according to the information in the paratext, Dragonology is introduced as a facsimile of the alleged original text. Yet that does not explain why several pages exhibit the exact same traces of aging. So these contradictory sensory experiences create irritation and confusion that are part of the reading process of Dragonology. These irritations occur at various levels, including the material aspect, and result from the simultaneous construction and deconstruction of authenticity. And these irritations are extremely productive since they stimulate readers to contemplate not only the existence of dragons, but also, and more importantly, that the concept of authenticity, whether genuine or not, is always a construction. In summary, the material aesthetics of fictional information books can be seen as a component of a wider metafictional commentary on the presentation of fact and fiction and the reliability of information. However, the role of material aesthetics in this commentary might be overlooked if materiality is thought of only as packaging and not part of the main text. Thank you for listening.